offender. You were sentenced in Caddo Parish, March 12th, 2003, for a manslaughter conviction. You received a 40-year sentence, which you are currently serving. Your parole eligibility date was September 29, 2021, and your good time mandatory release date is October 6, 2034. I'd like for you to explain to us why you're in prison. Why do you think you deserve favorable consideration for early release?
Okay, I'm in here for killing my ex-girlfriend. And since I have been here, I have attended all the schools that I've been that I'm eligible to go to. I have learned so much since I've been here. Through stress management, I've learned how to deal with my stress, and mostly that's by exercise and deep breathing and that kind of thing. I've been to Celebrate Recovery, and I know that I have to depend on Jesus Christ to get me through all my issues. I attended substance abuse and take it one day at a time. I mean, each day is today, and I don't have to worry about tomorrow. So I've been to Celebrate Recovery.
Stress management.
I've been in stress management.
Living in balance.
And living in the balance, the cage of rage. I think one of the main things is through stress management, I need to take a deep breath and just really think about what I'm doing. Is it worth me losing everything that I have attained just easier to walk away?
Let us hear from Warden Ackland. What can you tell us about Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Johnson has been here at Wade since May of 2003. He's been in our protection unit. He has had 2 write-ups since he's been incarcerated, with the last one being in May of 2016. He does have a residence plan. He has a job plan scheduled for landscaping and leather work. He is not a disciplinary inmate at all. And like I said, he lives in our protection unit.
Thank you. We appreciate that information. We'll move on and hear from the folks who are here in support. First, could we hear from Robin Williams, please?
We've been friends for 37 years. He and my husband were co-workers. During that time, Johnie has been nothing but a great friend. He, of course, I don't condone what he did. That was a horrific mistake he made. But he has a plan. He's innovative. He has the work ethic. He's not a violent man, other than that one incident. He's more than paid his dues, I believe. He's lost, during his incarceration, he's lost his parents. He has never met his grandchildren. A number of friends and family have turned their backs on him, but he does have a family, his sister, his daughter, his friends, and us. Of course, these last 24 years, that's 60% of his sentence, and I believe he is more than paid his dues for this offense. I feel really bad for the family, but I think he's due.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning. We hear from Melanie Townsend, please.
I've known Johnie most of my life. Our fathers were really close friends. What I know about Johnie is I know that he feels remorse. He could go back and redo that day in his life again. He would. He has served his time, and I know that he wishes to be a productive member of society. He's not dangerous to anyone. Johnie is not the sum total of that one bad decision he made, and he's tried to make amends in every way that he can. There is a lot of good in Johnie, and he will be welcome here at our family ranch with myself and my mom, who's now 89 and dearly loves Johnie. Johnie can only go forward to make positive choices in his life, if given that opportunity. And I fully support that, and I do believe he has served his time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And then we have Mr. Hatfield. Mr. Hatfield? Mr. Hatfield, tell us what you'd like us to know about Mr. Johnson.
I know Mr. Johnson through my grandparents and my great grandparents, all his family. He's coming to Shreveport, and I'll offer a full-time position with our development company. Grandparents spoke very highly of him. And so I realized everything happens. You know, people have all kind of crazy things that happen in their life that you never know until you get in their situation, how you would react. Those things have severe consequences. But I do believe that people learn he is kind and compassionate and very remorseful. And I'm definitely willing to take a chance and whatever else comes along.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hatfield. We appreciate you phoning in. Okay, sure. Taylor?
My name is Taylor Hairston, and I'm the youngest son of Jamie Hairston. 10 days after I turned 10 years old, Johnny murdered my mother. The impact of that loss has been profound for me, my brother, and for our entire family, and it still affects us to this day. When Johnny chose to kill my mom, he didn't just end her life. He robbed me of a lifetime of experiences that I should have had with her, events that she should have been there for, but wasn't. I was only able to spend 10 short years with my mom, but even those memories were taken away when he chose to kill her. I guess it was a way to cope with the trauma, but my childhood memories before her death have become distant and fragmented. Instead, I spend my time trying to piece those memories together from home videos, photos. The first true memory I have related to my mom is of the day that she died and the events that followed. What I remember is riding towards my house. My dad was driving the car. I was 10 years old. And I see police cars, police lights, crime scene tape, and then soon being told that she was dead. Today, I should be able to talk with my mom about those early years of my life, share experiences, and make new memories with her, but that's impossible. I've struggled with anxiety and depression for the past 24 years since all of this happened. The pain, the fear, the uncertainty of that experience has left me with a constant dread, an anxiety of what bad things might happen to me or the people that I care about. In most every situation, my mind goes straight to the worst case scenario because at 10 years old, Johnny showed me what that could be. So as you can see, the murder of my mother has had a lasting effect on my family, but Johnny didn't think about that. Even as a parent himself, he didn't stop to think about what his actions would do to a 10-year-old boy, my family, or even his own family and kids. Instead, he pulled the trigger. He was sentenced to 40 years, and shortening that sentence will only cause more pain and suffering for our family. With that said, I do oppose Mr. Johnson's early release and ask that you please deny his clemency.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
I too am here as the son of Jamie Harrison. To echo my brother, carrying the weight of this unimaginable trauma of grief and loss. I don't want to necessarily spend too much time on the crime itself, just because I feel like this should be more in line with post the tragedy. But I do want to take you back just for a minute, just to where you know where I'm coming from. It was a normal Saturday. I'm getting ready to watch a football game. My brother was going away for the weekend with his dad. Like I said, it would seem to be a normal Saturday until Mr. Johnson decided to show up to our residence. Him and my mother had been estranged for a handful of weeks. During that time, Mr. Johnson was seen at the top of my road, stalking our home at all hours of the night. He was still friends with sheriff's officers who lived on our road, so he would go spend time in their driveway, staring down the road at our house in the cul-de-sac. And as a law enforcement officer, to echo him, learn to walk away. He was trained that. After multiple decades on the sheriff's department, he was trained to tell families on calls, walk away. He did the opposite. He continuously interjected himself into our road, single lane road on a cul-de-sac where he could watch our home. He showed up that morning, again, been gone. He had already resigned from the sheriff's department during that time frame, so he was no longer a law enforcement officer. I watched him and my mother stand outside his vehicle for a short period of time. Then all of a sudden, she came inside. At that moment, you could see a state of fear, shock, panic. I tried to say what was wrong. I couldn't get the words out because I too had the weight of, I guess you would say, fear come over me. I got up. At that time, I was able to walk a little bit more than I can now. My mom said call 911, and she threw a cordless phone at me. At that point, I didn't understand really what was happening. I'm 4'11". My mother was 5'1". She weighed about 130 pounds. I weigh about 120 pounds. Mr. Johnson is a trained law enforcement officer that's well over 6 feet and weighs 250 pounds. The two of us began fighting. He mumbled under his breath, "Jamie, it's time, it's time." And at that moment, he picked her up, put her over his shoulders, and walked out of our residence. The only thing I knew to do was try to grab her. But again, the strength of that grown man, I was no match for that. The only thing I knew at that point was to go get my gun. To echo my brother, I've never gone a day since that day without a gun in my possession. It stays in the car, it stays on me every day of the week. I live in constant fear that if that man gets out of prison, what he would come back and do, because I know that I've taken 20 years from him because of what he took from me. He's got another 20 to go. I'll get to that in a minute. I was able to get my gun, but I didn't feel like I had time to get the key. At that moment, I did not know, but Mr. Johnson had shot my mother 3 times. But I was so deep into my residence and beating on my gun cabinet that I didn't hear the gunshots. So when I obtained my firearm and I went to the front of our house, there was about 10 seconds of just darkness of tunnel vision. And I had my firearm aimed at the back of that man's head while he was driving up my street. I did not pull the trigger because at that time I thought that he had kidnapped my mother. I thought she was in that vehicle and I didn't want to live with the fact that I would accidentally shoot her. So I'm on the phone with 911. I chased that man through the city of Blanchard and Caddo Parish. I lost him. 911 told me to go back home. I'm going about 100 miles an hour to get back home because that's what they told me to do. And when I came to a stop, I saw my mother laying on our grassy knoll behind her home. I got out. Again, I had no idea what I was going up to. But I saw my mother laying lifeless and full of her own blood. My mother had been shot in the back of the head. Her tongue, her eyes, everything's coming out of front of her face. I have to live with these images every day of my life. I'm 42 years old and I was 18 years old at the time. That's my sleeping pill. It never goes away. At his trial, Mr. Johnson never looked at me. My testimony, I was in the courtroom because I waived my right to be recalled as a witness because I wanted to be in the courtroom. I wanted to hear what he had to say. He never looked at me. He never showed remorse. He never showed emotion. Instead, he tried to make himself a victim. He lied, he deflected, he blamed. This man had previously threatened public officials during my mother and his relationship. He threatened his then sitting boss, the sheriff of Caddo Parish. He threatened multiple businessmen that grew up with my mother. He threatened basically any man that she knew because if he couldn't have her, nobody else would. After he committed this act of violence, he called his daughter and he called my grandfather and told them just that he did it and that he couldn't have them, nobody else would. Let me be absolutely clear. I 1000% oppose Mr. Johnson getting released on parole. As my brother stated, I also have 2 children. Both of my children have my disability. I've had to go at this alone with my wife. We're at children's hospitals trying to get their treatment, making sure that they don't progress the way that I progress. My mother would have been an expert in my disability as she was. We don't have that to fall back on. Countless birthdays, holidays, we won't get those. She's gone forever. Whether Mr. Johnson's incarcerated, he gets his family. He can talk to his family. I'm asking you to deny that man's parole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning. I'm Rhiannon Fitzgerald. I'm representing the Caddo Parish DA's office today. We are very much opposed to parole for Mr. Johnson. I didn't hear Mr. Johnson. I heard him talk about what he's done and why he should get parole, but I didn't hear anything about Jean and Taylor and Miss Hairston. Remorse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the kids. I think about the kids. All I heard was these classes he's taken on conflict resolution, and, no offense, but he was a trained deputy. I'm sure he can benefit from the programs in the prison system, but was he not already trained in conflict resolution and de-escalation techniques? So those all went out the window in September 2001. I'm really disappointed in his comments today. What he took was Miss Hairston. I knew her. She was a beautiful, vivacious mom. She was very sociable. She worked at my bank. She was a chatty one, I think everybody would say, and I would talk to her when I went in the bank. You knew that her boys were her life and her world, and she took care of them. She was a busy single mom. They were just a normal family. Throughout the trial, as Jean mentioned, Mr. Johnson tried to deflect and blame, Miss Hairston for basically making him lose his mind and kill her. My office contends that this is a second-degree murder. That is what Mr. Hairston was charged with. He chose a bench trial, and he received the benefit of being convicted by a judge of the responsive verdict of manslaughter, and he was given 40 years. So in our opinion, we will always firmly believe in the Caddo DA's office that Mr. Johnson has already benefited from a reduced charge and a reduced sentence than what the law says he actually did. As Taylor said, he was 10 years and 10 days old when he lost his mom, his caretaker, and the stable home environment that he had been living in. Jean fought for his mother's life. He didn't just get a call that your mom is deceased. He was there. He lived it. He fought for her. He discovered her. Jean's 911 call is the most heart-wrenching thing that I have ever heard in all of my years. There are no amount of programs. There's no number of classes to make up for the devastation that he chose to cause. Who else hasn't met their grandchildren? Jamie Hairston has never met her 4 grandchildren. That's by Johnie Johnson's doing that he hasn't met his grandchildren, nor has Jamie Hairston. And the best 2 reasons to deny parole to Johnie Johnson are right here: Jean Murphy and Taylor Hairston. 40 years is a very appropriate, if not generous, sentence for what Mr. Johnson did. The only way for justice to be served in this case is for Mr. Johnson to serve his 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Johnson, your case was assigned to me, so I have just a few questions and then I'll defer to my colleagues. How long were you a deputy?
17 and a half years.
So all the training that's been referenced, you were afforded all those training opportunities through the law enforcement training academy.
Yes, ma'am.
And we talked about programs, one of which I didn't hear was victim awareness. Have you taken any victim awareness training classes?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What did you get out of it?
There's never just one victim. With Jean and Taylor, they're victims, the rest of their family, as well as my family and my kids. Because, with me being in here, I can't be there to support them. There's no way that I could apologize enough to them. In my last hearing, I did. And although the story has changed a little bit since what actually happened, I know that when I testified in court, in front of Judge Mosley, a lot of the things that I said in that courtroom are now with Taylor and Jean, they're kind of twisting it around a little bit because that's not exactly what happened.
All right, I've heard from your friends that spoke on your behalf that you've been doing everything you can to make amends. Tell us what that has been.
I can't reach out to either one of them, but I've done all the schools that I could do. I pray regularly that God will forgive me and they will be able to forgive me. That's all that I know that I can do.
And one more question is, it has been said this morning that you have more than paid your dues. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am. I think I have. I know back prior to 1995, the most you could get for manslaughter was 21 years, and you only did a third of that. But since they changed the sentencing guidelines and all, I feel like I have done my time. I'm very remorseful for what I've done. I still have problems sleeping at times because of what happened that day. And I hate it for Taylor and Jean. I mean, I can't go back. That's the only thing I can move forward and maybe make amends to them in another way. That's to be seen.
All right, I have no other questions. Second.
I ask you something. You said that the young men, her sons, Taylor and Jean, that they twisted facts. Let me ask you something. Did you go over to her house?
I went back to the house that morning because I was returning their rods and reels they had left in my boat.
Okay,
And
so y'all got into what? An argument?
Oh, she stood out there on the side of on my truck because of course, they printed and DNA and everything. We was out there for over an hour. At that time, Mr. Harrison.
And I'm just going to quickly go through a progression things because you said they twisted facts. Okay, so there was a verbal argument by the side of your truck. You said you were returning rods and reels and stuff. Y'all had broken up. You had been let go from the sheriff's office. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It's because y'all were arguing so bad, there was some problems with that, and they didn't think that you were fit for duty. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it must have been pretty hot over something like that. So she was the cause actually of you being fired because of this going on between y'all. It reflected on you being a sheriff's deputy, and then you got fired.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're over there, you're in rods and wheels, y'all broken up. You go in the house. What brings you in the house?
No, what happened was we had been talking out there for about an hour. And at that time, Mr. Harrison came to get Taylor for visitation. Okay. I had gone over there.
But I'm not going to pick up a lot of times. I want to ask this. So did you pick her up and put her in the truck? Or did you pick her up? Like Jean said.
Let me tell you before that. We went into the shed in the back because I was going to disconnect my electricity because it was going to be moved the next week. That I had a storage shed that was built and moved. Okay. Once we got in there, she said, "Don't you love me? Don't you miss me?" And I said, "Yes, I do. You know I do." We had consensual sex, which was proven in the trial. And they said that, I mean, when we got through, we went around and she went in the front of the house and she said, "Jean, get your gun, call 911. He just raped me." And I'm going, "I didn't rape you." And she said, "Who do you think they're going to believe, me or you?"
Okay.
That's how I had originally met her, was on a call where she had lied on a guy.
Let me ask, let's just skip to the part. How did you get your gun and shoot her at the residence? How did that happen?
Okay.
And skip everything else, just that part.
When I went into the house, I was not armed at all.
Okay.
When I got in there, she told Jean, she said, "Get your gun, dial 911. He just raped me."
Okay.
Jean went to go get the gun.
It's
But
fun.
I didn't know that his gun cabinet was locked. I didn't know anything like that. And I said, "Jamie, come on, let's go outside. Let's talk. You're losing your mind here." So we get outside, and I didn't know if Jane was coming with the gun right then or whatever.
Okay.
I got my gun out of my truck, and I took her behind the house. That's when I shot her.
Why her? She was unarmed.
That's when I just lost all cool reflection. I mean, that was a heat of the moment thing. I mean, I said, I can't, my mind was going, I know, because that's how I met her to begin with. It's
Okay.
relied on somebody else.
All right, so I'm gonna finish questioning and
Mr. Johnson, I think we are prepared to vote. My vote today, Mr. Johnson, is going to be to deny your parole. There's lots of opposition that you've heard today. There's more in the record. What got me today is you seem to be blaming Ms. Hairston for what happened to her. I don't think that you're being accountable for what happened. So my vote today is to deny your parole.
I concur with this, Mr. Johnson.
I concur, law enforcement opposition and victim opposition.
All right, Mr. Johnson, today your parole's been denied, sir.
Okay,